I want to say we've had a couple missed opportunities so far this episode. One was we didn't speed up the transformation. Mm-hmm. 2 was we didn't leave Sailor Moon as a baby because that would have been real fun. 3 was we didn't have Tuxedo Mask be in a hurry, which would have been super funny to me and really good. And 4 was we could have had baby Tuxedo Mask, and that would have made me very happy.
Oh my god. But he never goes into hello, and welcome to Sailor Moon Therapy Hour. I am Audrey.
And I'm Alison.
And we are watching Sailor Moon from the very beginning with a twist. One of us each week watches the sub, and one of us watches the original dub from the 90s.
The good one.
Yeah, the good one.
The nostalgic one.
Mm-hmm. The one with the weird voices.
The one that gives us therapy.
Yes, and the one that changes just the entire story.
Yeah, well, that too. It improves the story, I would say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. For American audiences, yeah, totally.
Absolutely. It taught me to be the person I am today.
It taught you to be the person you are today? Mm-hmm. 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 Let's dig into that later in this episode.
Yeah.
Because I want to know more. So this week we watched, I watched the sub and Alison watched the dub. And the titles are Usagi's Disaster, Beware of the Clock of Confusion. But I also found another title for the sub that was Usagi's Misfortune, Watch Out for the Rushing Clocks.
Oh, and then my title was Time Bomb.
Boring.
I appreciate how short they always want to make the American titles. I just want to know. I'm not complaining about the choice. I'm just curious why they made that choice. Like, did they just we need it to fit on like a little card somewhere, or they just thought it was snappier? Like, why didn't they just translate it?
You know, I think that is actually, I think shorter is kind of the standard for American television. You
write it in the... Do you remember back when you couldn't look things up online, so you had, the little, TV guide?
TV guide. Oh, my God.
So maybe the TV guide needed to say Sailor Moon episode Time Bomb or whatever on it, and it only had a little bit of space.
Yeah, I'll bet it was something like that. Plus, Big Deke thinks we're stupid, so they gotta simplify everything.
So, because I watched the dub, I would like to give a very brief summary of the episode, and then we can maybe kind of go through it, and what we like to do is try to figure out what they changed, why they changed it, whether it improved things, which of course it always did, and what we learned from the episode.
Yeah.
So this episode was Time Bomb. We mentioned at the end of our last week that we really couldn't tell what it was going to be about from the teaser. But fortunately, my episode started with another teaser that made it much more clear it was going to be about people getting old and young, which is actually kind of not what it was about, but I was excited. Yeah. I was like, that looks very exciting. So, in this episode, the monstrous plan is evil clocks, and the clocks make you... They phrase it as, it makes you live twice as fast, which isn't quite right, but they, get you all, revved up, and so you start trying to do everything really high energy, and you burn yourself out and make a lot of energy for the bad guys. And so there's a lot of, I really enjoyed it, of drama of just everyone just go, 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 go. Because they're all revved up from the clocks, and it's causing mass chaos in the city. And then Sailor Moon and our new friend Sailor Mercury go and try to confront the bad guys, still in go, go, go mode, which was very entertaining, and get trapped in a clock and get saved by Tuxedo Mask and then defeat the bad guy. So.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much the same. I actually loved this episode.
I did too. I really enjoyed it. Overall impressions, really fun. I liked some of the chaos they did. I liked some of the character beats. It was very entertaining. Now, I watched the dub, so my theory is that I think I saw some spots where they got their little dubby fingers in there. And I saw some weak points that I suspect weren't there in the sub. And in particular, I felt like Luna and Ami's interactions and just their whole... I felt like there was an Ami subplot that got flattened because it felt like there was an arc for her that was supposed to be there that wasn't there. and I do think it was in the sub. So we'll have to, as we go through it, you'll have to tell me if they
Yeah.
did more with her. And then, of course, Luna was just being an asshole the whole time, like she always is, and I think she probably wasn't that much of an asshole in the dub, but that's pretty typical.
One of the reasons I really liked this episode was I'm so excited to have Ami now as part of the official cast, because it really gives Usagi a lot more opportunity to have, like, kind of her own thing going on. Like, for her to, like, rushing Usagi is one of my favorite.
She was so good. I loved her. So yeah, let's see if we can get there. So the setup, we opened with Queen Beryl and Jadeite, which I wondered if was added in. Mostly just because they had a shot of Queen Beryl with the crystal ball, and it looked like they'd, like, image manipulated something into the crystal ball that wasn't supposed to be there. There was, like, a brown deserty landscape that I didn't understand.
Oh, yeah. That was not in there.
So
the shot was, but not that.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were supposed to be showing in there, but it didn't look like it was meant to be there. Like, I think she was just doing her, she's always doing her little, like, wiggly fingers around the crystal ball, and it looks like it's the same
what she's
scene.
doing, we don't know.
Yeah. And I did like that she goes something like, "Good work, Nephrite. Now we have Sailor Mercury to deal with." And I think that was supposed to be sarcastic, but she did not deliver it like it was sarcastic. So I had a moment where I was like, wait, is she complimenting him? What's happening?
Yeah, they didn't talk about that at all. They didn't talk about them.
Yeah. And then she's like, "What's your new plan?" And he's like, "We're going to speed up time, and they'll make twice as much energy, and that'll be awesome." And they're like, "Cool." So
yeah, that's not what it was in the sub.
What was it?
So it actually, I literally wrote, "I feel personally attacked," because Jedi goes, "Human energy can be amplified by anxiety," and so that's what the clocks are for, is to make everybody feel super, super anxious about, "I've got all this stuff to do." That
makes so much more sense. I told you that I didn't understand, because they said they were speeding up time. And that's not
that makes no sense.
Really what happened.
Yeah, it's not.
I could intuitively grasp what was happening, but it's not what they said was happening. And there's several points like that in here where they say things that I'm like, is that what's happening?
Yeah,
okay.
No, and the anxious one makes so much more sense, and that's why I felt personally attacked, because so I'm like, I'm anxious.
Yeah, no, the whole town of just like, we gotta go, we gotta do things, we're running out of time was real good.
Yeah.
So yeah, we then cut to Serena and Amy are shopping together. It's really cute. They're having friend bonding time. Cute. We have, of course, completely gotten rid of Molly. We don't need her anymore. We have a new friend.
Yeah.
And it's cute because we know that Amy hasn't really had the chance to, be social like this and hang out with normal kids and have a normal childhood, although they cut that from the dub. But I know as a viewer that this is very exciting for her.
It was so cute. Like, I wrote that I was like, is this literally Ami's first time having fun?
It's so cute.
And I also wrote that I'm obsessed with their friendship. They're so good for each other, because Serena/Usagi is absolutely the person to help you loosen up, and Ami/Amy is absolutely the person to get her places on time.
Yes. Help her focus and direct towards what she wants a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, there were 2 moments at least where I thought that the dub had done something weird. So these are my questions for you. The first is, there's a part where they get some books, because they're shopping for various things. They're looking at different things. The part where they get some books, there's like a big book, and then they're looking at it, and then we cut to like Serena's looking at the giant book, and Amy's looking at another book, and they have a like kind of expressions like something funny is happening. But in the dub, they have the like Serena's going, "Advanced physics, this is terrible. Like, Ami's taste in books is terrible." And then Ami's going, "Serena's going to rot her brain on these comics."
Oh, no, they're just like, they're in a bookstore checking out fun things, and Usagi's like, "Oh, what kind of books do you like to read?" And she's like, "Oh, I'd love to know what you like to read too." And so they swap the books that they're looking at, and Usagi's like, "Oh my god, there's no pictures!" And Ami goes, "Oh my god, it's just manga!"
Which is like less mean sounding than the way they did it in the dub. In the dub, I don't feel like Ami was like, "Serena's rotting her brain out on this trash." Like, that's not
that's
the
super
vibe
mean.
we're supposed to be going for.
Yeah, it's just like the joke in the sub was more just how different
their tastes were. But they seemed
Yeah.
kind of, like, into it. Like, at
Yeah.
least from the picture, they didn't seem as judgy as the text.
Yeah, they were not judging.
So that was the first part. Then we have, you know, a little thing where Ami's like, I heard you're always late everywhere. And Serena's like, no, it's not that bad. But that's setting up for her being late. You're giving a face like that didn't happen in the...
No, it didn't.
Okay.
The whole, most of their conversation was, like, Usagi basically teaching her how to have fun, and, like, we're going window shopping, we're gonna window shop till we drop, because they're not gonna really buy anything, they're just, like, playing around and, like, trying on dresses, and, like, it's so cute. And at no point does Ami judge her or talk to her about being late. The only time that pops up is when they go into the clock place, I think, or, like, before they go into the clock place, because Ami's like, well, I already have a watch, and Usagi's like, well, if I get a clock, maybe it'll help me get to school on time, and Ami offers to come pick her up in the morning. So
yeah, they did that at the end. They did have that conversation, which was very cute, of, like, Sailor Moon was like, oh, I can't afford this clock I really want, now I'm going to be late to school, and Ami's like, well, I'll come get you, and it was really cute. But yeah, they had a whole side about, like, everyone told me that you're always late everywhere. And she's like, yes, no. And they're like, all right, it was like, maybe, I guess they didn't trust us to know that character beat if they didn't say it out loud.
Yeah.
So they had to say it to establish it. But we were like, yeah, we've been here. It's been, like, 9 episodes. We've got it.
She's literally late every time.
The other point where I thought they might have changed it was just their, like, shopping, and I think it was the shop till you drop bit, but they kind of, again, they played it just a little more passive-aggressive than I expect it was, because Ami's like, oh, I'm tired, and Sailor Moon's like, we gotta keep going, and Ami's like, I'm not an experienced mall trawler like you, I can't keep up, and then Sailor Moon's like, no, come on, and then they go, but it was mostly experienced mall trawler like you was quite a phrase, and I just wanted to acknowledge it.
Wow.
And it did feel a little passive-aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't, I don't recall anything about Ami wanting to go home. I think it's more just she was feeling a little bit insecure about actually having fun because she's so used to working all the time.
Here's where I think that there's a whole plot here for Ami about wanting to be more outgoing, and I feel like that's the arc they wanted her to have, but they flattened it out, and so it's not here in this one because... If you remember last episode, they flattened out all the part where Ami was unhappy with her current life. And they just had her like, yeah, I go to a computer class and it's great and I love to study and I go to the library some weekend. It's awesome. I have no loneliness or unhappiness at all. Yeah. And so that means that the arc she's supposed to be having here, again, she can't be like, oh, it's kind of cool that I'm doing stuff that I haven't normally gotten to do and I'm enjoying it, but I'm insecure. Like, they had to take that all out. I'm mad about it.
She doesn't really have an arc necessarily about that, but it is just a lot more sweet and cute in the first half because it's like all new for her, and Usagi's energy is not dragging her. It's more like encouraging and, you know, drumming up excitement, and they have so much fun.
They're good for each other, like you said.
Yeah.
I love that vibe, and it's one of the things that I've really enjoyed on the rewatch is that Serena... She's a crybaby, she's, you know, all these other things, but she does it in a way where I find it really lovable, and I also really like that frequently it's a strength. Like, they really show that, like, I mean, one of the first episodes, she cries so hard all the bad guys fall down holding their ears. Like, it works for her. It's not the show's not, the dub is a little more like, this is your flaw that we make fun of, and the sub is very like, this is just who you are, and it's a strength and a weakness.
Exactly, because she has the biggest heart of all of them. That's why she's the hero.
It's very cute. So again, as always, the dub is a little meaner and a little stupider.
Classic American.
Like Americans.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then they go into the evil watch store, and they're looking at the watches, they're looking at the clocks.
I gotta take a moment on this watch store, because... Okay. Just that moment where it's not like anything groundbreaking or anything, but when they look across the street and there's this huge crowd and it's a clock store, and I'm just like, at what point do you find it normal for a huge crowd to be super excited about a clock store? I
thought they were going to a jewelry store, and I thought maybe they were watches in a jewelry store at first, because that would make more sense. But yeah,
it's like that in the sub,
everyone
too.
in the town is so excited about clocks. And you're like, no, this is weird. You should immediately think this is weird. And
exactly.
speaking of a time change, man, the whole like, oh my god, watches is like, man, who wears a watch anymore? Like, I do like watches. They're pretty.
I don't.
But like, I'm not wearing one now because...
They always get in my way typing.
Yeah. They're, the one I wear most frequently it's a piece of jewelry. Half the time the battery's dead.
Yeah. I know people wear like Apple Watches and stuff, but I just don't want to spend like another $300 to replicate my phone.
It's funny how times change. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's one clock that Serena really likes. It looks like Luna. It's a black cat. And but she can't afford it because she spent a lot of money at the game store. So Ami's like, I'll wake you up. It's really cute. It's another moment of like, oh, they can compare each other's strengths. But when Serena goes home, her mom's like, I got you a present. It's gonna help you get to class on time. And it's the clock she really wanted. Yeah. So her mom understands.
Shows that her mom really,
Yeah, her mom saw this and was like, Serena would love this, and Serena did love it. And then the really cute thing was the mom goes, I also got a clock for your dad, so he'll get to work on time. And I love that reminder that Serena and her dad have a lot in common. Serena and her mom understand each other really well. Like, I love, as I've said before, I love parents where you can see the kids in the parents.
Yeah. She doesn't quite mention that about her dad, but because I think she just bought like a bunch of clocks because they're putting one up in the kitchen, and then I think she's got one up in their master bedroom as well.
They didn't say that, but it was cute. Hey, here's a question. Did Luna hate the clock in the sub? Okay, because she was just like, I hate it. It doesn't look like me. It's dumb. And it was like, I can't tell if this is Luna being unusually bitchy because of the dub or if she just really didn't like it.
She wasn't super bitchy. She was just more like, that doesn't look anything like me. It looks so devious. Like, it just looks like a shady version.
I wasn't sure.
She's like, I don't look that devious, do I?
Okay, I like the phrase devious because she just didn't like it for some reason. And I was like, I don't understand what you don't like about it, Luna. So then we cut to Luna waking up in the night because the clock is glowing. And she's like, what the fuck? And she's like, and then she goes, that stupid clock. I knew it. In the morning, it has to go. And I guess she just goes back to sleep.
I did wonder about that because she sees, so in the sub, she sees that it's glowing and she's like, what's going on? But then we cut away and then we see all of the clocks kind of all over town glowing.
Yeah, exactly. And then I could get if she's just like, oh, why does this clock have a light? That's weird, and goes back to sleep. But like her being like, I knew it. I'll deal with it in the morning. was so weird.
It still is weird in the sub because she knows that there's something up with the clock, but she doesn't wake up Usagi or anything.
She should immediately be like, something's going on with this clock. It's clearly the bad guys. Wake up. We got to deal with this right now. But no, she's like, weird clock in the sub. Also, and in the dub, she's like, evil clock. Deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's so lame. That I can understand them trying to explain that plot hole. Yeah. But one thing I forgot to mention while they were in the clock store is, and I don't know if this is a new segment called Red Flags. But it's like, how many times have the bad guys got in a store and made things super duper cheap so that there's a huge crowd and it's like crazy prices? Shouldn't that be a red flag?
And I forgot to mention, but the other red flag, and I don't know if this was true in the sub, but the dub lady, the evil bad guy lady's voice, I love. It's like kind of deep and evil and sexy sounding. I was super into it, but also when you have a sexy evil person talking to you, they're gonna be evil. Like, you should just immediately, when someone starts sexy talking you, especially when it's an adult, you should be like, okay, this is the bad guy, let's fight. I don't know how that's gonna play out when she talks more to Tuxedo Mask, but like, bad guy, fight. Anyways, I was into her voice. She had a good voice in the dub.
She was also like overdressed to the max for being a retailer.
She was sexy evil. So, and she was very intense about the clocks.
Oh, she was pretty chill.
She was just like, they're very affordable. And I was just like, oh my god, lady. I was really into it, though. I was like, I kind of like you. I'm kind of feeling it. A little flutter here.
Yeah. Ooh, hello.
Yeah.
Just reaffirming our queerness.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, next morning, the clocks have affected everyone in the city, and everyone is super revved up, which we see because Ami shows up to pick up. I guess Ami is the only person in the city who didn't get a clock, whatever.
Yeah, 'cause she already had a watch, so.
And everybody else in the city didn't have watches.
I guess.
Ami's just very practical.
Yeah, that's true. That tracks, honestly.
She shows up to pick up Serena, and Serena has already left, which is really mean to her new friend, but B, also we all know, like, really out of her character. Her mom answers the door and is like, yeah, I don't know what's up. She was just ready to go. She took off early, and then she's like, and then her dad comes running through like, I gotta go, let's go. He's got the toast in his mouth like a late school kid. It's really cute. And then the mom's like, I gotta go. I got so much cooking to do. Have fun. Goodbye. And Ami goes, the whole family's wacko.
That's pretty good.
It's an amazing delivery of a line that no one in their life has ever said.
Right. Yeah, because that definitely wasn't in the sub, and she's more just like, what is going on? Like, she's just kind of curious and processing. Also, one thing that was funny in the sub that I wonder, it sounds like they sort of translated in the dub, was she starts going through the list of the mom does of all the stuff she's got to do, like the laundry and cleaning, and then she's like, well, I guess I might as well get started on dinner.
Okay, that's really cute. I can't remember if she said that, but there were a number of things that people said that were really funny. Because, right after this, we go to the classroom where people are still acting really weird, and they're all saying all the things they have to do. And I didn't write down all of them, but they were all very funny. And the two that I did write down was Melvin shows up and says, I'll miss my snail watching club, and I'm the only member. Which I think they absolutely just made up, but it was funny. Absolutely made up. I can't remember it all. A lot of the time when Melvin's speaking, the dub just says whatever the fuck they feel like. They're just like, we're just gonna. And the same thing for the teacher, who shows up and basically cancels class because she goes, I love Mrs. H, of course, Miss H, but she shows up and she's like, I'm really busy. She goes, and I have 4 dinner dates tonight to deal with. It's real good. I'm very tickled by her setting up 4 dinner dates. 4 dates. More effectively.
Yeah. Which was, she didn't say dinner dates, but she did say 4 dates. And in the sub, they were all complete, because it's still like at least an hour before school is supposed to start.
Yeah, it's still morning.
So they're like, where is everybody else? Like, why aren't they here yet? So in the sub, that's kind of what they're talking about. They're not talking about all this stuff they have to get done yet. And so Miss H is, what is it, Miss Haruna or whatever, she's saying, well, there's no sense in waiting any longer. You guys will just study at home.
That's cute. I think Serena's like, I'm going to run out of food because she's like already eating her lunch. It was really cute.
I loved it. Also later when I know that I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but her talking about all the things she has to do, she's like, I got to have my snack. I've got to have my... it's like all food related, all the things she's got to do. Yeah, she's like, I got to do my... So she mentions like the intense things, like I got to do my homework and stuff, but she's also like, and I got to read my manga, and I loved that everything in her life was equal priority. I got to finish my video game. Yeah, everything was equal priority. That, big mood. Yeah. Big mood. So the next scene, I want to say, just was visually very funny, and I don't feel like they intended it to be, but I guess they wanted Luna to go find Ami with the clock. So we just cut to Luna running up to Ami with the clock tied to her. How did she tie it? They were like, this cat can't carry this clock, so we'll tie it to her. But the cat can't tie a clock to herself either. So maybe it would have been less weird if she just had the clock in her mouth or something. I think it was probably too big for that. She could have dragged it by the tail or something. I don't know. I would imagine. It was very funny looking, though. It was very ridiculous. It cracked me up, too. I loved that. And... Ami and her talk about the clock. Once again, I hate Ami's voice. It's really weird. It's so bad in the dub. Their interaction is very weird. Ami's like, oh, what are you doing here, Luna? And I'm like, maybe go, oh, why do you have a clock tied to you, Luna? Because that's the more notable thing. Yeah. And, but yeah, they're basically like, I think this clocks are weird. We gotta discuss the clocks. So Luna summons her, does her little cartwheel to summon a piece of equipment, and summons her they call it a mini data computer. And I don't think a data computer is a real thing. No, it was a supercomputer in the Japanese. Although I do love data computer. Yeah.
You know, it's the type of computer
It processes data.
Data. Yeah, and she says you can, what does it do? It can analyze anything you want. What does that mean?
Yeah.
We don't know. Handwave.
Yeah, it's
So
not explained.
Luna gets a data computer, and Ami goes, oh, how come you didn't give Serena a computer? And she goes, because we have to have Luna be a bitch. She goes,
Yeah.
oh, Serena's still working on her tiara skills. Do you really think she needs a computer?
What a bitch.
So did she say that in the sub?
No, well, close. So, I mean, Ami doesn't even ask about it, about like why she didn't, because they're just talking about the clock and blah blah blah, and how everybody's kind of acting wacko, I guess. And Luna says, what was it that she said? She was like, "Yeah, I just didn't think that Usagi would be able to handle it." So it's like a little more, it's still a little bit of a dig, but it was a little bit more like, and like, honestly, yeah, I don't think she could.
Yeah, it's how he does often. And also right now she's like keyed up.
Oh, keyed up Usagi is one of my favorite Usagis.
And this was where, again, I thought maybe there was some undertones with Ami in the exchange that weren't coming through, if for no other reason that they ended the scene with like, they're like, oh, what's going on with Serena? And they like play scary music, but like they're on the face they're holding on Ami just looks kind of sad and wistful. And so I was like, was there more about like Ami just feeling left out that was cut?
No.
There's just some weird tonal dissonance.
Yeah, so Ami definitely knows that something's kind of weird because she's seeing it all over town, and Luna's like, yeah, I think these clocks are evil. And so we need to analyze it. So they're kind of talking about analyzing, and they're working together basically on it. They're not talking necessarily about other people. And so she analyzes it, and I don't know if they cut this out or not, but like she opens up the back of the clock and this like light ball shoots out of it.
Okay, I think they cut that out.
Why?
I don't know, but I don't remember it anyway. If it happened, it didn't leave an impression on me.
Yeah, so it like shoots out, and they're both like, what the heck was that? And then when she looks inside the clock, she goes, there's nothing in the clock. So,
Okay,
like, that's all that was in the clock. Yeah.
That's cool.
So there were no clock mechanisms.
Maybe that was part of what made it feel weird. And like I said, it just felt kind of weird. The scene didn't quite gel.
Yeah, because they cut out Sailor Mercury doing what Mercury does best, which is analyzing.
Yeah. And having a more, like, even, like, the discussion they did have didn't quite feel coherent. Sort of like I said, where when she runs up and the thing Ami says isn't quite the coherent thing to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that where you're like, could we rework this dialogue just a little more?
Just why not translate it correctly?
Right?
Like, why you gotta change everything?
I don't know.
They literally make it harder on themselves.
So then we're going to have a period where we get to see the whole city on
Yeah.
fast forward mode. Everything is
amazing.
amazing. It's the best part of the episode. Like we see like a big car crash pile up. We see Serena's on the bus and she's running in place because she's like, I gotta get where I'm going, like on the bus. And everyone on the bus is like, I gotta go. The bus driver's like, fine, I'm gonna. And he starts driving wildly through traffic. He won't stop to let people out of the bus because he's too busy driving. And everyone's talking about the things they need to do. It's very funny. I love it. This whole scene was great.
I've got a question for you because as I was watching it, I was like, I'll bet that they cut this out. So this lady needs to get off. She's like pressing the button and he skips it, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh no, now this is the express bus. And she grabs him by the neck and starts shaking him.
Okay, they cut that, yeah.
Yeah, because she's like, you need to stop right now. And so eventually when they do stop by crashing,
probably because she was
like she
strangling
gets
the driver.
off. Yeah, because she was strangling the driver.
Yeah. They didn't explain why they crashed later, but yeah, all the lines were good. I didn't write them all down, but it's a very fun, high energy episode. I enjoyed it.
One of my favorites was this guy in the street, like after the car accident, and he gets out of this cab, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna miss my flight. I guess I'll just run to Paris."
Yes. Oh, the doggy brought you something. Oh yes. No.
He brought me a dead squirrel yesterday.
Thank you.
Yeah, or actually 2 days ago. Yeah, he brought it in here and dropped it on my rug for me.
There's a scene in a Pokemon game that I always quote where the train isn't working and there's a train employer you talk to and he goes, the train still hasn't arrived. And then he goes, I know, I'll carry the passengers on my back. That won't work. And
I think I've seen that. I think
quote it all the time. I don't know why.
I'll carry them on my back.
Lexicon. And that has the same energy as like, I'll run to work. I'll carry the passengers.
I will run to Paris. I also had, because Jadeite starts talking about how, like, eventually they're gonna die because they're so, like, all the humans are gonna die or something.
They didn't say that.
And so I wrote this note and I was like, but if the humans die, then you can't harvest their energy. So doesn't it make more sense to be consistently harvesting energy and by putting them in a rat maze or something rather than killing them?
Before, because there's been times like they've had like one human, like one time they were draining. Remember when they were draining the energy from poor Miss H, and they were like, she's gonna die this time, and we'll have enough energy, and it was like, so they were gonna get all the energy they needed that time, but then they didn't, and now they're harvesting the whole city.
Right.
And you're like,
and
at what point, like, how much more energy do you need? At what point do you have enough energy? Because, yeah, maybe if this was going to be enough, it's okay if they all die, but it's so inconsistent. Did they say, we'll have enough energy to release the Nega Force? Because I think that's made up.
No.
But I do like that they're at least explaining, because do they ever explain what they're attempting to accomplish in either the sub or the dub?
It's for their great ruler. That's all we know.
Right. I forgot the sub has a ruler, and the dub, they're very vague.
Ignore him,
releasing the Nega Force.
And my theory as to the energy harvesting and how, you know, apparently it was enough to get Miss H's and then kill her for it, but now it's still not enough. It's the entire city. I think that the Negaverse's corporate goals keep moving. They just keep moving the goalposts.
It's like a leaky sieve. If you don't fill it all the way up, it all just leaks right back out.
Yeah.
And corporate, like you said, they're like, we always need more earnings than we had last time. They're never satisfied.
Yeah, they're always goalpost moving all the time.
Probably the shareholders.
Ooh, yeah, maybe it's maybe that's the Negaforce.
The shareholders just want to see growth. They don't care if you're in a profit. They just want more growth than the previous quarter.
They need their energy dividends, and that's all they care about.
Our Nega stock is going down. I did like, so yeah, they have a little cut aside to remind us of the bad guys. We see, I don't remember if Queen Beryl's there, but we see Nephrite. I keep calling him Nephrite.
Yeah, it's Jadeite.
Since the very first episode, I've called him Nephrite.
Yeah, you have. But Nephrite's actually coming up in a couple episodes.
Ah, good. I'll have someone to call Nephrite. Jadeite's talking to the evil lady who has her sexy voice, and they have a little exchange that, again, the dialogue was just kind of weird, and the delivery was kind of weird, but I enjoyed it because everyone was talking in a sexy voice. And
both their sexy voices together.
She's like, I'm happy to serve Her Majesty, and you too. And he's like, so it would seem. And you're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, in the sub, they're just talking shop.
Yeah,
they're just talking about the thing.
It was high energy. I appreciated it.
I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Because this thought came to mind. It's kind of in line with the corporate Negaverse, actually. Is what do you think Jadeite's hiring process is for these monsters?
I honestly think that, and it's unclear, but ever since we had that one lady who was just like kind of get up and go and seemed to like change the whole way he did things because she was running the show, the radio show lady, who was like, it feels like he just like young demons, usually young female demons with big ideas, just show up and they're like, I'm a go-getter and I got a plan, and he's like, go, and he's like, he seems like he's very impressed with all these lady demons.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to pay them as much. Yeah, because, you know, they're women. I had
remembered it or would expect it as like, these are my flunkies, my underlings who I yell at and they have to do it and they don't please me and they die. But it honestly does not feel like that. It feels like he's like, oh, I found another person with a cool idea and I'm gonna let her do her thing. And then they're always also weirdly complimentary to each other. Like, again, there's even like Queen Beryl is like, good job. Although, I mean, I think she was being sarcastic, but I feel like the bad guy team feels more supportive than I remember it being. And to be fair, it's supportive in the way where all of the flunkies die, but that's Sailor Moon's fault, so.
Do you think Jadeite is sad every time they die?
I think he, like, seems to be adding them to his personality. Like, every time he feels like he picks up pieces of their personalities every time. Like,
ooh, what if they're all just parts of him that he's, like, created?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, like, he absorbs their Nega essence when they die, and they come out of... Because I feel like he's growing as a person with each of their deaths.
Oh, there's like a whole other show in there somewhere of like the Negaverse side.
Yeah, I'm into it. So we have Luna and Amy being like, where are we going to find Serena? Because we need her. And it was translated weird, but I'm not going to harp on that too much. I was just like, this exchange is strange. But they're like, maybe we should check the game store again. Maybe we should check this other place. And then a bus crashes and Serena gets off the bus, which was pretty funny timing.
Very classic.
They're like, we got evil radios. We got to go deal with the clock store. Not radios. So.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll be one eventually.
No, we already did that episode.
Evil radios?
Yeah.
Well, that's an evil radio show. What about the actual radios?
Oh, good point. So, this is my favorite moment in maybe the whole show, but probably just this episode. Because Serena is being asked to go fight bad guys while she is crazy hyped up with energy.
Yeah.
So they're like, we need to investigate. And she's like, no, let's go. We're going to go fight him right now. And Luna's a bitch. Again, Luna's like, wow, usually we have to beg and plead to get you to come with us.
Oh my God.
And it's like, no, she's ready to go. Ami's like, okay, but maybe we should like wait till night and crawl into the heat vents. And Sailor Moon's like, no, we're going now. And do you remember last episode when I said she never transforms before the bad guys show up because that would be, like, underwhelming or whatever? She has to, like, wait till they're in the fight scene to have her transformation?
Yeah.
I love it because when she's revved up, she just transforms. There's no bad guys.
Yeah.
She's
like, we're doing it
transform. Now, we're going. And it was like, oh my God. They commented on it.
It cracked me up so much. So in the sub, they're not talking about that. What they are talking about going in because she's like, let's go in the front door. Like it's locked. So she's like, let's just bust the door down. And Ami's, and one thing I really like again about their friendship is Ami has her reservations about going in right away, but she jumps right into coming up with solutions for how to just get it done anyway, which is very supportive. Thank you, Ami. So she suggests going around the back so that it's less conspicuous. Luna, I think, wants them to wait, and then she was like, well, maybe the back is a better idea. And and then that's pretty much, there's no, like, sass.
Yeah. And by the way, this was probably the scene that made me feel like something was missing from Ami's arc, and I honestly think maybe it was just coherency within this scene.
Yeah.
Because what you said is, I think what was supposed to be happening in this scene, but they kind of missed some of the beats. So we have, like, Ami and Luna, like, let's plan, let's do this. And Sailor Moon's like, no, let's charge in. And so then Sailor Moon's like, now you transform Mercury. And here's where I think they were supposed to build up to Mercury being like, yeah, I want to try things out. I want to be more exploratory. I want to be on your page. But instead, she hasn't been that way at all. But she suddenly goes, yeah, I'm tired of planning everything. Like it was some sort of weird growth moment. And she gets all go get him, too. And I was like, she hasn't seen the clock, and we didn't build to this. Where did this come from? But she suddenly transforms and goes charging in with Serena. And it was like, I could see how you could get there, and it would be a cute little, like, but they didn't get me there. So it was really weird and out of nowhere.
And there wasn't really, like, a huge arc for Ami this episode beyond just she's the one who's got to figure it out with Luna.
But I think maybe even just the build-up within that scene would have made that make sense. But I was like, maybe they took it out of the whole, like, episode, because I was like, I didn't understand what happened there. That was weird. Also, so she goes charging in. She's going to be, like, all go charge for, like, a few more times, and then she's just going to stop, again, with no transition. And so it was just like, what's happening in her head? There's no character consistency.
I got to, I did have 2 comments real quick before we get into this battle. Number 1 is it would have been so much funnier if they'd even sped up the Sailor Moon transformation.
I wrote that down too. I was like, I wish this transformation was happening on fast forward. Like, I gotta get through my transformation.
Yeah, she's just like, but I guess they just recycled the animation, so they didn't want to, but that would have been so worth.
It would have absolutely made my day.
Yeah, and then the second thing is an observation that I think I even had back in the day, but kind of completely forgot about until now, which is that they always get their nails done in the transformation. It paints their nails, but then they put gloves on.
It's just... aesthetic.
So why?
I love it. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it's, we've said before that, like, I think all the posing is because there's some sort of, like, genetic memory / ritual component. And maybe that's part of the ritual component. You gotta, like, have your makeup done and your nails, and it's gonna give you powers because you've gone through the, like, some people go and they, like, strip down and pray, like, and take a bath in a temple. Like, this is the sailor equivalent, is, like...
Get your nails done.
You have your spa day, and then you're powerful.
Right. And it's just all at once. Okay, now we can go into the
Okay.
battle.
So... yeah, they transform. Sailor Moon goes, charge, and throws her tiara, again, way early, and blasts down the door. They go racing in through the hole in the door. Luna tries to follow them, and the door heals behind them, and she face plants into the door.
Yeah.
Which was a convenient way to keep her out of it, but is not explained at all why that happened.
No, and my only guess is that Sailor Moon is just in such a rush that she only opens the hole, I guess. Like, maybe she has control over the hole opening, and so it only is open for as long as they can get in. That's my only assumption.
My theory that they didn't, there's no reason for it, but is that because it's part of the time bad guy shop, like, time just, like, went backwards on it, and it didn't stay damaged.
Oh, that's a good point. Or maybe it's, like, protected with
magic.
Something.
Negaverse. Yeah. Nega-Stock.
So now we're coming up on their entrance, and I have to stop and talk about their pose.
Okay, yes, because they do the pose. Again, we say these poses seem to be, a ritual, genetic memory that gives them power. But God, Sailor Moon has the classic fight pose, but God Mercury's pose. Can you describe Mercury's pose for us? She poses with Sailor Moon.
Yes. And so they come, and again, they're framed in the door and whatever. And Sailor Moon's got her like, I'm going to punish you. And Sailor Mercury is on the ground, laying down next to...
Kind of like those romance novels where the girl would be like lying on the ground clinging to the hero's leg.
Yes.
She's got
exactly
that vibe. It's like she's one of like... It's like she's Serena's like little like damsel flunky girl like clinging to her leg.
So strange.
And
I literally laughed out loud.
I think it's part of, like, when they all 5 pose together, like, you need someone on the ground to, like, fill in the picture. Yeah. But it looks extra weird and dumb when there's only 2 of them. Because, like, why are you on the floor, Ami?
She's, like, literally, and I'm like, and the way that they cut as well, because they're both standing in the doorway, and then suddenly we cut to their pose, and somehow she's already on the ground.
I told you. Ritual powers, genetic memory. They literally are already posing like there's 5 of them and there's only 2 of them.
Right. Because it's memory.
In their head somewhere, there's like 3 other people there.
Yeah, I gotta make space for all the other Sailor Senshi.
It's very funny. I really like it. I want her to like do more fights from this position.
Yes.
And it's kind of a power move because I would find that intimidating.
Yeah, I'm like, what do they know that I don't know?
Exactly,
that she's just casually laying on the ground.
Yeah, I'd be like, what's happening? So they confront the bad guy in the clock store, and there's some fun exchange, like, the bad guy's like, you'll never halt the hands of Nega time. I really enjoyed that. I think anytime you add Nega to the beginning of the word, it becomes much funnier.
I think we should call them NegaCorp.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, because they're definitely a conglomerate.
Yeah. It's a corporation.
So then the bad guy goes into the clock, and because they're stupid and, revved up, they're like, yes, we should chase her into her clock. Nothing will be wrong
Sailor
with
Moon
that.
wants to.
Yeah, so they run into the clock after her. Well,
Sailor Moon does it, and Sailor Mercury has to come after.
See, at this point in the episode, they were still having Sailor Mercury act like she was all gung-ho.
No, she's not.
That's what I said. It was just weird. And then she stops being that a little later. But she's like, yeah, let's charge in. Let's go. So they both
she was never
go.
Guys,
but as we said, this is where my brothers would like, just destroy the clock. And that is actually how the problem's going to be solved later.
Yeah.
Is someone will destroy the clock. But no, they're too gung-ho. They charge into the clock where the lady has absolute power over time. And bad things happen. We cut to Luna outside going, I hope they remember everything I've taught them. And I was like, you've known Ami for like 1 day. But, she's probably fine, to be honest.
Yeah, in the sub, she's just like, I hope they're okay, or something like that.
So, they're wandering around in the clock. Ami does her she hits her earring and gets her cool little VR, she calls it a VR visor, that's hooked up.
Oh, she doesn't give it any name. She doesn't even say
I'll use
anything.
my VR visor, and then she's like, "Here's my data computer." I can't do her
My
voice,
data
but
computer.
Yeah, my data computer. And Sailor Moon's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "Luna gave it to me." And she's analyzing the fog with it. Or the weird. She's like, "Things are weird in here." I don't remember what she said. It was basically like, "Time's all fucked up."
Yeah, it's wacko.
Here's a weird moment. So Sailor Moon temporarily ages down into a kid, and they're like, "Oh my god." It's really cute. I really wish they'd left her like that for more of the episode, because it would have been significantly better episode. But they age her down and then immediately ages back up, and she goes, "Oh good, it wasn't permanent." And then they're like, Ami, using her computer powers, goes, "I'm not sure how she's doing this, but she's controlling time." I was like, "Yeah, we got that, Ami, thanks."
So a little more explanation. It does happen that fast, but it's like they keep going from room to room basically within the clock. And so Ami sees on, and of course because Sailor Moon's so gung-ho and revved up, she just keeps like rushing ahead. And so she rushes ahead into this room where she then turns, and it's not, I say room, but it's just like, it's like somehow they're blasting through spaces or walls or something. And then she turns into a kid, and Ami's like, "Oh, there's pockets everywhere where time is different all over the place." So she drags her backwards, and then she returns to normal.
Oh my god, that makes so much more sense. This is where I said several times they said things about what was happening that didn't make sense, sort of like at the beginning of the episode where they're like, "Time's going twice as fast, and that's why people are," and you're like, "That's not." So they didn't show Ami, they didn't show him blasting through rooms, or, any kind of space.
Yeah, they were
and
like
B,
creating
they
holes.
did not show Ami drag her back. So she just shrinks down and then shrinks back up, and then I was like, okay, and then she goes, she's controlling time, and Sailor Moon she goes, "Oh, you mean she could do this to us?" And she visualizes herself getting turned into a little old lady. And the thing that makes it so weird is because they're implying this is something the bad guy is doing and has the ability to do. It's weird that she shrunk her down and brought her back.
Yeah.
And then she never does it again.
Yeah.
So, like, pockets
because they get more
way
careful.
more sense. Because I was like, why is this bad guy not using, like, I was like,
right.
They can control time, but they're very bad at it.
It's a very stupid move, I think, to change that in the translation. But, like...
Yeah. I wonder if they just didn't understand it. Like, occasionally I wonder if they're translating things they don't understand, and that's why things, like, vanish.
Maybe.
Because it's
that's a good point.
It's like a bad translation. They're like, "What's happening here? Something about time," and they just make up their own explanation. Like, their own stupider explanation.
So in the Japanese version, I can't remember if she drags her backwards physically or just, like, I don't know, uses a power or something.
But regardless, it was... Pockets makes more sense.
Yeah, and Sailor Moon goes, "Oh, that means that somewhere in this room there's a pocket, like, or a spot that will make us old."
Again, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
By the way, joke here about how no one ever wants to put pockets into anything. They're always taking our pockets away.
Yeah. Big jeans. And so then Sailor Mercury uses her data computer to point the way, like, the correct path for them.
She doesn't just go, she's controlling time somehow, which was like a stupid analysis. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it actually makes way more sense.
That's smart too. Like, I love it.
Because she's smart.
So we do have a scene here where we see Tuxedo Mask, and I wanted to point out that we see him, like, investigating. This is the first time we've ever seen him before the bad guy and before the Clutch Rose, and I don't think this was intentional, but I love the idea that he's in a hurry too. Like, he's been affected by the clock, and that's why he showed up early, and he's like, "I'm just gonna deal with this right now."
That would be amazing.
That would make me so happy.
They don't really suggest that in the sub, but
no, they don't suggest it at all.
Did they show him appearing? Because he just basically teleports into that window.
Oh, I don't think... if they did, I didn't notice it.
I wrote it down because that's the first time we've seen him, how he actually gets to all these high places.
Is that he teleports to them.
Yeah, apparently he can just teleport. And I don't understand why, if that power exists in this universe, why the rest of the Sailor Senshi don't have that.
So I want to say we've had a couple missed opportunities so far this episode. One was we didn't speed up the transformation. Mm-hmm. 2 was we didn't leave Sailor Moon as a baby because that would have been real fun. 3 was we didn't have Tuxedo Mask be in a hurry, which would have been super funny to me and really good. And 4 was we could have had baby Tuxedo Mask, and that would have made me very happy.
Oh my god. But he never goes into the clock.
No, I know. So they probably couldn't. Yeah. But still, which is why we could have done the other. Opportunities. Yeah. There's so many cool options.
So many missed opportunities.
But before he deals with anything outside the clock, which, spoilers, he's going to do what we should have done in the first place, which is hit the clock with a rose, and and then the power of time's going to fall apart, and then they're going to be fine. But we do have Sailor Moon and Mercury inside the clock try to confront the bad guy, which doesn't go well because she has somehow control over the power of time. Like
she actually does in this moment.
Yeah.
Well, but only because she's so close to them, I think.
Well, and also because they're in a fucking clock with her. Of course she has control over time. You're in her magic clock. Like, what did you think? Anyways, so Sailor Moon tries to fight her, but then she collapses because she's gotten so low on energy. And they're like, yeah, I've drained all your most vital energies. And then, so she starts crying, and then Mercury's like, tries to do something, and Mercury gets hit with a beam, and then she's like, I've frozen you both in time. And I'm like, no, I think you froze Mercury. I don't think that's what you did to Sailor Moon. But, like, again, the explanations for what was happening were really weird. Mercury goes, oh, I'm frozen, I can't move. And then she goes, I wish Luna was here. And, okay, that's was kind of cute, but also weird.
Yeah. So it is the same thing where, like, she says that she's drained Sailor Moon's energy and she freezes Sailor Mercury in time. The only difference is that she does not say, I've frozen you both. They just can't.
Yeah, it was just like, and again, because I was expecting them to be aged or de-aged, it was just very weird to me. I was like, could we be more, could you be more, because as we said, when Sailor Moon ran out of energy, we're like, well, why didn't you just, like, drain, why didn't you turn her into a baby? Like, what's happening? Right. Why are you doing it this way? So, I don't even think her explanation was so bad, so much as the whole setup made it not make sense, because I was like, why are you doing that?
I guess, like, my theory then would be that within her clock, it's like an evil lair, or evil palace, and so just the various dungeons that you have to make your way through are booby-trapped with these different...
No, like and Sailor Moon running out of energy makes sense because we set up that she's been being drained the whole time.
Oh, good point.
Because she had the clock. So I thought it was just tied to the fact that she's been under the effects of the clock the whole time. Yeah. And in Sailor Mercury, we have to do something different. But I was like, why aren't we just de-aging them both? Because that would be adorable. Yeah. But
maybe it takes more time.
It's not part of the booby trap. So then we do Clutch Rose. Tuxedo Mask destroys the clock, or I guess damages the clock. It would be kind of alarming if he destroyed it while they were in there. That would have been a different episode.
Yeah. Wait, question. Before he destroys it, do they show the monster trying to, like, stab Sailor Moon?
I don't think so. Sailor Moon's just crying, and Mercury's going, I can't move, and they're going, like, basically, someone come save us, someone help us, and then we cut to Tuxedo Mask.
Oh, okay. So she's not crying in the Japanese, but the monster has this, like, pike or something.
It felt weird when she was, like, because she often does cry, so I wasn't sure that was wrong. But the level of, like, oh no, damsel that they were doing felt weird to me.
Yeah, they were not damsels. And, like, obviously they were in distress, but they weren't damsels.
Going, I wish Luna was here. Someone come help me. I can't move. Someone help me.
They're more like trying to figure out.
Up. Yeah, no, it was. They're very, trying to figure a way out. Where'd that come from?
So it was actually really funny because Sailor Moon is, like, collapsed on the ground with her knees kind of in almost like child's pose, but not.
There's a name for that over. Where it's like a sexual pose, an infantilizing sexual pose.
I wondered
where they have
about
the knees in like that. Yeah. And I can't remember, but I learned that word recently, and I was like, I'm amazed they have a name for it. But yeah,
that makes a lot of sense because I was like, man, that's almost sexual except for the fact that her legs are closed, but. This is what's so funny. So the monster has, like, a pike, and she keeps trying to stab Sailor Moon, and she keeps just going, and, like, dodging from side to side super fast. And it's actually amazing. Like, she's really good at dodging the pike, even though she can't move off the ground.
I'm trying to look up the name of the pose, and I can't find it, but, yeah. there's a whole thing too, because it's like apparently very hard to actually do that pose.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because your muscles aren't really good at bending that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that, and I am sad that they always cut most of the violence out, but it's all right.
It wasn't even that violent. Like, it was so goofy. Oh, she also cuts her on the cheek.
Wow.
At one point. Yeah.
Again,
she does cry because it hurts.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because again, I was like, that's probably also why they had to add a lot of them, like, being like, oh, help me, oh, where's Luna? Because, like, they had to fill in the time that they cut all the actual drama out. So they were like, how do we make this dramatic when we've cut all the dramatic stuff? And we're like, we'll just have them get very emotional.
Yeah.
For no reason. Okay, that makes more sense, because literally in this one, she collapses. She can't stand, and then she immediately starts crying about the fact that she can't stand up, and it was, like, weird.
No, it's because she got cut.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
But I couldn't say for sure it didn't happen, just because it's sort of, but it's something she hasn't done recently, is like just immediately go into panic mode.
Yeah, she doesn't usually, she doesn't do that lately.
She did that very early on, she would immediately go. And now she'll like go into panic mode, like, you know, sometimes when things get bad, but it's normally very coherent. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, and then Mercury, now that I guess she can move because of the rose hitting the clock, does her bubble blast or bubble spray, depending on which version you're listening to. Yeah. And calls up a big fog, and Sailor Moon's like, that's cool, but now I can't see the bad guy. And Mercury's like, aim at those 2 glowing dots. And so Sailor Moon throws her tiara at the 2 glowing dots and destroys the bad guy.
So Sailor Mercury just helps her up, and then I guess they're able to get out of the clock and then like see the monster, and then she's able to do her thing. But I don't remember her telling her where to aim or anything.
It felt a little weird, but I didn't mind it. I think they were just trying to explain the fog. So then we cut to Luna being like happy to see them. It was kind of a weird cut. Again, I felt like they were like cutting around a little bit, but like Luna's running up to them like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. And then they like cut away really fast, and I was like, what was that? It was very strange. And then Tuxedo Mask has vanished. He always vanishes. And then we see Serena being like, wow, I need to, slow down. Maybe I'll give up shopping completely. I'm going to take my time on things. I don't know why giving up shopping really... Also, actually, now that I think about it, it's really weird because, like, they went for, like... I guess the dub went for, like, by give up shopping, they're implying that, like, shopping is bad. And it's not. Literally, the whole first scene is really cute because... Yeah. Ami's getting bonding time and socializing and stuff. So that's actually a really weird line. And I'm actually more annoyed about it now that I stop and think about it.
Yeah, like, and I'm trying to remember what they were actually saying. Because but I don't remember.
She's like, maybe I'll give up shopping. And then Molly comes running up and goes, Serena, you gotta hurry. There's an amazing shoe sale in her Brooklyn accent. And Serena's like, oh my God, and tries to go running off with her and then is too tired and collapses again. And, of course, Luna gets her final bitch moment. I think that makes either 3 or 4 for the episode. And says, I knew it would never last. Serena is Serena. Wink.
Yeah, so now I vaguely remember in the sub... I don't remember what she and Ami are talking about. But I think just kind of wrapping up what had happened.
Yeah, it was general wrap-up.
Yeah, and then when Molly runs up, she's talking about... Because, remember, all of the stores were opening super, super early. Mm-hmm. And she goes, hey, there's a bakery that's just giving away a bunch of its, like, buns or something like that. Because, obviously, they'd made so many of them because they were so effective.
I love that.
Yeah, so she's like, we gotta run and go get them. And also, so that's why...
Bakery stuff makes more sense for Serena than, oh, my God, there's a shoe sale.
Yeah, and then Luna says...
That's like a stereotype of, like, a girl that shops too much and, like, shoes. And I'm like, that's not really Serena. Like we said, she's a window shopper. She didn't have any money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the whole thing was, like, they weren't actually buying stuff.
It was fun. She would actually go run to a store because it was fun, but it was like, why are they shaming her suddenly for this?
Yeah. And so what Luna says is, she'll never grow out of this, will she? And I think it's, like, the eating
kind of
thing,
cuter.
probably.
I think it was meant to be affectionate because they did the Serena wink, but again, in the dubs, Luna just always sounds way meaner about it. Like, even when she's supposedly being affectionate, it's so... Well, like I said, that whole scene was set up like, oh, shopping, oh, shoes, oh... Which is... It doesn't feel affectionate. It's very,
for the American girls.
Girl things are stupid, and you're stupid for liking them.
I wonder why they felt the need, why Big Deke felt the need to change that to shopping instead of, like, the snack thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. Because that's funnier and it makes sense why they'd have a sale. I don't know. Again, sometimes I wonder if it's just, like, I won't say, like, inaccurate translation, but, like, lazy translation. They're like, let's just make something up here about what they're talking about.
If Google had been around at the time, I would say it's like a Google translation.
Yeah, they're just like, they're talking something about being late about, so let's make it shopping. Yeah. Maybe they did, well, buns. We can't talk about buns. We did mention that Americans don't know what buns are, but you could have
said donuts.
Store. Yeah, it's so easy.
It's like literally the same thing because the whole point is that they make them super early.
I said this was the final Luna bitch moment, but of course we're going to get a Luna bitch moment to conclude our Sailor Says, because she always says something bitchy at the end of Sailor Says.
Let me guess what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that the sailors... Oh, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, you got to guess the whole Sailor Says, not just what Luna says.
So I'm going to guess that the sailor says... Oh, shit. Now that I know... Because I would have said before I heard about what they were saying it was in the dub, I would have said that it's like, Sailor says, don't rush things or be so anxious about everything, just like chill out. But now I think because they're saying they're speeding up time, but now because of the shopping thing, I think it's going to be something about, hey, make sure that, like, don't shop too much or don't trust a deal or something. But also we got to walk it back because we're a corporation and we want you to buy things. Buy, produce. So don't go shopping too much, but a little bit is okay.
Okay. Well, I think you're closer with the start, but again, they just always put kind of a spin on it that feels a little weird. So they have Serena go, I like to do things fast and get them over with. And then she basically goes, but that's how you make mistakes, and it's hard, but you got to learn to be patient and slow down and take your time and do things the right way, which is kind of the message of the story, but also I feel like kind of not. Once again, they're kind of shaming. Like you said, I think anxiety is a much better message of like, it's not a rush. You'll have time to get things done. You don't have to do everything once. You don't have to try and do your whole life at once. Because I really liked anxiety. Like, that's why people are like, I got to do 4 dates. I got to do this. Like, I'm going to miss out on stuff. And so I think that's a much healthier and nicer message than if you rush, you'll make mistakes. Don't be impatient, which is sort of true. So anyways,
which also is completely out of character for Serena / Usagi because she doesn't do things fast. Exactly. No, she avoids as much as possible.
That was the other thing. It was like, I was like, not only is this not exactly the message of this series, but it's also not really true for Serena. And then, of course, our bitch moment is that Luna goes, well, when are you going to apply this principle to your eating? And she's like, never. I can't slow down on my eating. And so we got a little fat shaming in there. Yeah. Just for that little like last savory taste of the episode.
Yeah. God.
So I think that makes either 4 or 5 moments where Luna got to be an asshole this time. And we gave Amy a couple this one too, so that was fun.
Yeah, and she didn't have any, there were none, as usual. But it's like becoming a theme now where in the Japanese version, the original stories are actually very good themes, very good moral. Like, even with Ami's introduction, it's like, hey, she doesn't have a life and she's miserable because all she's doing is studying. It's not that studying is bad, but like doing it to this extreme. And then now it's the same with the anxiety, where like that's actually a good message to share, is like how bad anxiety can make you feel and drain your energy. And it keeps happening over and over again. And then Deke every time has gotten it wrong.
They dumb it down to the more classic Saturday morning cartoon moral. But I think that's part of it. A lot of times they go for like a dumber moral. But
are those really the morals that we were getting in our Saturday morning cartoons?
Well,
like, stop eating so much?
We got them. That's why we were getting them, because Deke gave them to us.
Yeah.
It's kind of a circular question there.
Yeah, that's true. So who in Deke was like, these kids are too fat. We need to skinny them up.
I think a lot of it is that, they're adding these morals in. And in the same way that I feel like a lot of the translation suffers from being kind of lazy because they don't take the time to understand the theme and story structure. And that means that when they do a half-assed translation of what people are talking about in a scene, it often drops out things that were actually tied thematically into what they were doing with the story. So in the same way that I think sometimes the storytelling suffers from that lazy translation, I think, again, it's like someone's job was to just slap a theme onto the end of every episode, and it was done lazily. So it wasn't even so much that they thought these were better themes as someone who only kind of understood the story as it was in the English, and even less understood the story as it was originally crafted coherently, just as like, what's the first theme that sort of comes to mind? Like they did that with Sonic Says too. They're like, this episode's about sharing, and if we don't know, we'll just make up. We'll just have a PA about drugs. Like I'm waiting for her to just talk about drugs at some point.
Yeah. But it says a lot, like when you're doing the lazy thing, for example, when you're just doing like the first thing that comes to mind because you're just trying to quickly get it done, it actually says a lot about the American psyche.
They go straight to the food stuff and food shaming. Yeah.
Food shaming and like
work harder.
How studying is good. Do it harder.
That's a little, capitalism is a little like work harder. They take out the message about your parents making you work too hard and make it the opposite. Like
listen to your parents and work harder.
It is very interesting what morals get reached for. The easy morals they reach for, the differences in what they're saying, actually, I think you're right, are super meaningful.
Yeah. Explains a lot about my anxiety today.
Yeah. Because it's not chill out, you're too anxious, you'll have time. It's like, for fuck's sake, you're doing it wrong. Slow down.
Yeah.
Do it harder.
Slow down, but do it faster.
Yeah. Well, no, do it slower, but harder.
Yeah, slower.
And now I'm giving different type of directions.
Get it right, damn it. If I was gonna do a real Sailor Says, like a real moral of this story, I would say it would have to do with anxiety and just slowing down. Like, it'll happen. You know, just chill out. Don't beat yourself up, you know?
And if I was gonna do one, I'm gonna take a different tangent on it. I'm gonna give some advice to the creators, and actually no, mine is just like Sailor Says. There are missed opportunities that you should have gone for. Now, you're always gonna miss some opportunities, but it's okay to go for more of them. No, I don't know. There was just some points where I was like, oh, I really wish they'd gone there in this show.
Yeah, they could have. Oh, just like those 4 changes I think that you mentioned.
Sailor Says, let your characters be a baby for longer, because that's... Don't turn him into the baby for 2 seconds and then turn him back. That's boring. So, honestly, that's my big complaint.
I think it would have been way better if she'd even completed, like, the moon tiara thing as a baby.
Yeah, I really wanted her to
hilarious.
Because that was such a cool image, and they just didn't do anything with it, and that's a shame. So, yeah, Sailor Says... Let your character be a baby. She is adorable. And maybe turn Tuxedo Mask into a baby, too. Can someone draw me Tuxedo Mask as a baby? Like, is that doable?
Chibi Tuxedo Mask. Also, maybe the segment is missed opportunities.
How would we tell the story if we were telling the story?
Yeah.
Maybe we can have different segments, different times. I think missed opportunities. I think story structure, story analysis... Literally, guys, you just gotta really actually pay attention to the theme and the structure of the story you're telling, because when you change it, it shows.
Bad.
Like, we notice. we notice when you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because then we don't know what you're talking about either.
Yeah, but even the original one, there was some room to do some fun stuff. I will say this was a fun episode.
Yeah,
I think
this
we
was
both
great.
said that, but I really enjoyed it. The drama in the city. I think we've very rarely just seen everyone all, like, keyed up. It was very fun.
I wonder if it starts to get bigger from here on out.
And once again, I remember, and to be fair, I'm remembering, 3-5 seasons or whatever, so it may get more repetitive. But I remember it as being very formulaic.
Yeah.
And you can see why, because, again, we have a bad guy with a particular object, and they're trying to drain energy, and that's like a formula, and we're going to have Tuxedo Mask show up. Although he doesn't always. We're going to have the Moon Tiara. They don't always. That said, the themes, again, because they're so coherent and so different, and they're doing fun things and images, I really like it. It's a stronger series than I remember it being.
Yeah, well, because we didn't see the Strong Series version.
That too.
So next episode, I'll be watching the dub, and you'll be watching the sub. And the sub is called The Cursed Bus. Enter Mars, the Guardian of Fire. And the dub is called...
so excited about Mars. Sorry, let me know what the dub is.
Too. I'm super stoked. I remember her being a huge bitch in the dub.
I do too. So
Yeah. So I wonder what she's actually like. And then the dub, okay, so we get... And then, well, and again, I keep finding two different translations for titles. On Hulu, it says The Cursed Bus, Enter Mars, the Guardian of Fire. On the Sailor Moon Wiki, it says it's called Cursed Buses, Fire Senshi Mars Appears. And then the dub is called An Uncharmed Life.
that's less exciting. I'm
Yeah.
shocked that they didn't go for...
Just call it Cursed Bus.
I guess with Ami's episode, they called it Computer School Blues, which is also very boring.
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't a computer school. I've just remembered that.
Yeah.
They changed that. That was so weird. I actually went back and watched part of that episode, and oh my god, it's very weird.
It's bad. I need to go back and watch the sub.
I'm very excited to see, like you said, how what Mars is like, because I just remember finding her very off-putting, at least for a while. And I'm curious.
Yeah, I hated her throughout the whole series.
She's also, if I recall, sort of a shrine maiden, which is a very Japanese thing, and I don't know what they do with that in the dub.
Yeah. Well, I think they leave in that her grandpa's a monk or something. I don't know. We'll discover it next week.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to it. We should maybe make a prediction. What do you think, Luna? Well, we predicted Sailor Moon Says. What do you think the theme of the episode's going to be?
Let's see. They're calling it An Uncharmed Life.
And something about buses. I can't really immediately...
What the first thing that comes to mind is like Speed featuring Keanu Reeves. So maybe there's like Sailor Mars or like they're stuck on a bus and then Sailor Mars has to show up and save them with fire. I don't know.
I would love if there was a Sailor Moon episode where they have to drive a bus real fast and if they slow down it'll explode.
I mean, we probably could do a fan edit based on the footage from this last episode.
Right? I was like, it kind of happened this episode, but I would love if we had Sailor Moon episodes that used the plots from, like, popular old movies.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
So, yeah, I think it's gonna be, I mean, buses, maybe something about going places. I don't know. Different schools.
Yeah.
Now, if I had to right now, as a dubber who doesn't know how to translate, if I had to make up this episode, it's going to be about making friends from different schools, different buses. So, like, liking people that are different than you. And we have a different background. You're weird. You're a shrine maiden. I'm American. I don't know what that means, and I can't translate it. So, even though we live in different places and we have really different life cycles, we're still human beings and we can be friends. That's my theory.
Yeah. Have a good week.
Good week, everyone. Take care of your mental health.
Yes.
And we'll be back next week for another Sailor Moon Therapy Hour.
Yay. Bye.